Hi there. Should you spend your time and resources photographing common species? Well, that's something I'm going to explore in this video today. I've come across an increasing number of photographers who seem to focus their attention on the rarities. So I want to know, is there value in photographing common species? And I'm at Bushy Park, which is a large park in London, and there's an abundance of wildlife here, but almost all of it is very common. So let's crack on. I seem to have made a new friend. At least this one seems to like my camera lens. Hello. So when it comes to this, there are three key things that I believe. One, I'd rather get a beautiful photo of something common than a rubbish photo of something rare. Number two, viewers don't value effort. What do I mean by that? Well, if you get a photo of something that's really rare and you've had to put a lot of effort in to get it, but it's a poor quality photo, all the viewer sees is a poor quality photo. So sometimes taking the time to get lots of photos of something common can actually be more rewarding than taking a lot of effort to get something rare. But also, point number three, as a wildlife photographer, I want to be stretching myself all the time, and that includes taking more and more photos of things that are difficult to find, rarities. And so you should consider balancing the two things when it comes to your development as a photographer.
Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain, beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise. And now, there's something in the air and a sparkly shimmer on our skin, restoring everything within.
This Egyptian goose is suffering from angel wing syndrome, and that's where it loses all its wing feathers. It can never be recovered from, and this bird will never fly again, leaving it vulnerable to predators. And this is caused by having too much carbohydrate in its diet, because visitors to the park feed the birds bread. And so no matter how mundane the species, you can use your photos to educate people. So the next point is about regional rarities or regional commonality, depending on which way you look at it. And this tree just behind me, I've been photographing ring-necked parakeets, which are really common here in London, but not elsewhere in the UK. In fact, you don't really see them very much at all outside the southwest. And so it's important to think about photographing common birds where you see them, because they may not be common elsewhere. And that brings something interesting to your audience. Your audience elsewhere in the country or internationally may find these birds slightly exotic. And these are Britain's only wild parrots. But parrots aren't native to the UK. These birds were introduced. And the theory is that they were introduced during World War II. So people kept them as pets, and when London was evacuated, they let the pets free because they weren't here to look after them. And so these are part of the story of London. And although many Londoners find them a bit annoying because they're so loud and there's so many of them, they are really beautiful and charismatic birds.
And now, there's something in the air and a sparkly shimmer on our skin, restoring everything within. Dreamy, breezy, we go. Easy, easy on our tiptoes.
So I've just been around these logs photographing jackdaws and a few other birds. There's an Egyptian goose or two, some pigeons and things. Again, quite common birds in these parts. But one thing that does strike me is that part of the reason that I think some people still believe there's value in rarity is because there genuinely used to be. Going back maybe 10, 15 years, there was definitely a time when the major photography competitions were won by people who jetted off to the Serengeti and photographed an endangered species. But that's not the case anymore. And people do care about conservationism, but I think some of these competitions and major organisations have started to care about the species that maybe have never been photographed before. But they also definitely appreciate species that are local and well known, but photographed in a different way. And so it's really important to continue taking photos of your local wildlife, or wildlife wherever you are that may be common. And instead of having a mindset that focuses on rarity, I always have the mindset that this photo is going to be a practice for my next one. And that's a really important thing to get your head around, because even if you are faced with the rarest of species, if you've not put in the practice hours and photographed robins and squirrels and all sorts of common things, you won't know how to react. You won't be in a situation to think, the light's over here, the subject's over there, where am I going to position myself? What's going to make a nice photo? All of these photos that you take of really common subjects give you that practice. That's really important. So there are a lot of good reasons to capture common subjects in wildlife photography, far more than I've probably mentioned in this video. So if there's anything else you can think of, please drop them in the comments below. But what you should always be doing is trying to stretch yourself, find new subjects, research, do some scouting, and for that, you might like to take another walk on the wild side with this video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.